start of a new week, and I'm still reading Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. I am almost done, actually. What is taking me so long is that I am distracted by a plethora of things. One being other books I'm reading. Two, films, because one of my goals this year was to watch more films that I wanted to study for my own work. And so I got Criterion Channel, which is great. I've been really enjoying it. I've added so many movies to my watch list, so I can't wait to make my way through more of them. I watched Mulholland Drive. I don't know why it took me so long to watch it. It was so incredible. And there's quite a few more that I plan on watching. Paris is Burning is one of them that I might watch this week. And then they have some Valentine's Day collections of romance films. And so those are obviously in the lineup for the week. Also, another distraction has been my partner got an Xbox again. It was broken for quite some time, and I love Game Pass because I'm very much like a cozy gamer, and there's so many games I want to play on my Switch but are free on Game Pass, so I'm like, why would I buy them on my Switch when I can play on his Xbox? So I've been playing Power Wash Simulator. It's so good, guys, don't judge me. Anyway, Sally Rooney is going well. I will update you guys when I finish it, since I talked more about it in my last vlog. But I also just started, early last week, Notes of a Native Son. I didn't read any of the essays so far. There's like 4 different introductory sections before you even get to the essays, which actually have been very interesting. There's an introduction by Edward P. Jones. There's an acknowledgement section, a preface to the 1984 edition, and autobiographical notes. Because this edition is 30 years after the publication of the first edition of this book, there's an excerpt of Baldwin talking about, or reflections of where he was at in his life when he wrote this mentally, and trying to just recall that point in his life, and kind of goes over the things he was writing at the time, the things that he was thinking about. And it was interesting because there's some elements of it that he can't recall because so much time has passed. But this is a collection, his first nonfiction collection of essays that he ever wrote. And I'm very excited to read this. It includes impassioned essays on life in Harlem, the protest novels, movies, and African Americans abroad. Yeah. I'm really excited to get more deep into this. So I've left off at the autobiographical notes. I have like a page and a half, a couple pages. Well, I'm wrong, 4 pages until I actually start the first essay, which is Everybody's Protest novel. I plan on reading this like maybe once a day, just to get one under my wing and slowly read it throughout the month. I have a few nonfictions I'm reading this month, which is actually really exciting because I don't read as much nonfiction as I would like. There's a magazine/bookshop that I love in Little Italy in Montreal called Multimags, and I've been wanting to read Philosophy Now. There's a booktuber TikToker that has spoken about Philosophy Now before and recommended it. I think her handle is Soggy Rice. I'll put it down here, but every time she's spoken about it, it has sounded so up my alley. I wanted to get back into reading philosophy, and especially philosophy that relates to pop culture or current politics or the state of the world, just takes on modern things that are going on in the world. And this edition really caught my eye. It's titled The Return of God, and then Social Media and Plato's Cave, which is really interesting, but also the cover is very interesting. You've got like conspiracy, fake news, doomsday, Anonymous in the background. Lots of interesting World War Begins. So I'm very excited to read this before work every day. I think that's my goal. If you guys have any other publications or book recommendations for philosophy, please let me know. I did take a few philosophy classes when I was in uni, and I really loved them. My favorite class that I took was Morality and Moral Controversies. And still to this day, I have this like craving to learn more in the philosophy spectrum of things. I did have like a moment in uni when I wanted to maybe do a minor in philosophy, but then I'm a person of like too many interests, so that never ended up working out, but I would love to read more philosophy anyway. I'm excited to be done intermezzo to move on to a different fiction. I am really enjoying it, I think even more than my last check-in, so when I check back in with you guys, I will give you a full review on my thoughts. Hello friends, guess what? I finally finished Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. We're here, we've made it. I am getting out my reading slump. I mean, we kind of already got out of it in the last vlog, but I just felt like I was so stuck when I was reading this. I think a long book was a bad idea. However, last night couldn't have been a worse night to wrap this book up because I am in my luteal phase and I was sobbing, just rivers flowing from my face while I finished this book. So that wasn't great. That was in the middle of the night because I couldn't stop reading until I finished it. And yeah, it only made me feel more miserable, but it was the kind of ending that I was hoping for this book and the particular circumstances that these characters were going through. Some of it was also shocking, just in terms of the relationship dynamics, not between the two brothers per se, but with their significant others. I haven't fully given this a review yet. I'm not focusing too much on star ratings this year. It's not my favorite Sally Rooney that I've read, but I did really enjoy it, and Sally Rooney always just humbles me every time I read her books, because when you begin, I feel like you get this introduction into these characters, and the character studies in the book really unravel and are so much deeper than you would expect as you go through the storylines. The writing is beautiful. There's always lots of meanings, and I feel like moral debates going on in your head as you're reading through the book. It really challenges you as the reader when you're reading from the perspectives of these characters, because they're so real. They're not sugar-coated. They're not written with an agenda to fit a certain mold of what people want to see. I think it could have been shorter in my opinion, but that also, my perception of that might be a little skewed because I definitely should have read a shorter book to get back into reading more frequently. I really enjoyed this, and honestly, last night I was so happy to be done. There were some quotes towards the end of the book too that really pulled at my heartstrings, just coming together in shared grief and their experiences with grief separately too. They both have such different personalities and perspectives on the world, but also so similar. I really enjoyed reading from two different characters' perspectives in this. I feel like it really gave us a character study that dived deep into the perceptions we have of each other and how wrong and incorrect and how they can be so involved in our own identities and own ambiguous narratives that it really has nothing to do with the other person. I'm excited to move on to something else. It was funny because in my last vlog I had mentioned Great Granny Webster as a book that I was going to be reading in the vlog, and I completely forgot about it. So I think Great Granny Webster will be my fiction that's up next. So morning reads will be Notes of a Native Son and the Philosophy Now magazine. And then we've got Great Granny Webster, which is quite short. Anyway, but let me know what your thoughts are on Intermezzo. If you've read Sally's other books, if this is your first Sally Rooney book, that would be kind of interesting to hear about. But my goal now is to get a little bit more work done. Me and my partner are going to see Toro y Moi tonight, and I have wanted to see him perform since I was in high school, and I cannot wait. I feel like a teenager again just thinking about it, so that'll be really fun. And I honestly kind of need it because I'm feeling the doom and gloom of social media these days because of everything going on in the world politically right now. But I'm going to get a little bit of work done, read, and eat this raspberry dark chocolate because it's gonna help me feel better. It's delicious. So I finally finished Great Granny Webster last night, and I really enjoyed reading this, and it proved my theory that I need to be reading shorter books right now. And I actually ended up starting another short book last night, which I will continue in my next reading vlog, but I had a really great time reading this. It ended up being different than what I thought in the first few pages. I thought the book was going to focus just on the relationship between our main protagonist and her great-grandmother, but it ended up going deeper into generational trauma that was passed down from the matriarch of the family. And very interesting. There was a lot of dark humor throughout, which I really enjoyed, and I love that combination with all the gothic elements of the story. I really enjoyed reading about these unique characters through our protagonist's experience with them and the conversations she had with them. And this book also dealt with the topic of grief as well, which is 2 books on grief that I wasn't expecting this year so far. But grief has been a topic I've been wanting to explore in reading more, and so it's kind of an unexpected positive for me. And one thing I do have to say is there's a jump scare warning for a racial slur in this book, which was really random. I was not expecting it when I read it, and I was like, oh. But yeah, anyway, yeah, warning for that. Be prepared. But I did really enjoy this book, and I do want to read more from Caroline Blackwood at some point in time. I've heard some of her other books are quite chilling as well, and so I hope they also have those elements of dark humor that I really enjoyed in this. It was a great short read, especially if you want to get back into reading. I think this is a really good one. The characters were so over the top. Even the characters that were not, per se, overly dramatic about things were in their own subdued way. If you enjoy gothic, dramatic aristocrats and generational family trauma, this would probably be the book for you. I'm glad I picked this up, and I'm ready to move on to something else. And I actually did move on to something else last night, which I will talk about in my next vlog. It's another short read. I'm on a roll. I've got my reading pace back, and yeah, I'm ready to dive head on into my next reads.